All right, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to make some 568 TLR, which is based on the 68 SPC case. It is neck down, shoulder change, and case taper change. What I'm going to use is brand new Hornady brass. I normally use Silver State stuff, but Hornady works great also. So I'm going to cheat and only do 2 pieces. This will get you through the initial die setup and that. I also cheat and I use Hornady one-shot lube. So I put them in a plastic bag and then I give it a little shot with the one-shot lube. And then what I can do is close it up. This bag has been used a whole bunch for this, so the little bit that's left in there gets reactivated. It'll help stick to the cases, and I'll actually hit it one more time yet, and then we'll be all good from there. Now, when you're making this brass, take the decapper assembly out of the die, and the decapper assembly looks like this. We do not run it when you're initially making the brass, but it you know, on subsequent reloads it will, but right now it'll actually give us a little bit of issues. So how the die will come is you'll get the die with the decapper assembly, the 3 bushings. 2 of the bushings are simple step down bushings and just normal ones. The third one is a bushing that has a chamfer cut on it, and this chamfer will actually, it matches the current angle on the TLR brass. We do change it from the 28 of the SPC down to a 34, a little over 34 shoulder. So the die is specially modified, it's also shortened. So in the initial steps here, like I said, there's 3 bushings. The first 2 are typically around a mid 280 and then around a mid 260. So what I'm gonna do is I just put the big one in there. I'm just gonna put the mid-size one in there. And then you could, for all sake, put the third one in there. The only reason we do that is if you only run one without the nut that's attached to the decapper assembly, it'll allow the bushing to float and won't hold the bushing in place. That's why you have to run 2 of them. So I'm gonna set that aside. I'm gonna install, now I have not used this die before, so I lower my handle all the way down. This is obviously done on a 550B. I lower the handle with the 6/8 shell plate in it. What I'll do is I'll lower this till it just touches. And then once it touches, which is right there, we're gonna raise it 1.5 turns. Now in this case, I have a red mark on this one that is right here. So 1.5 turns would be all the way there, and then kind of pointing to where the camera is. So that should get us there. And then I just leave that loose, the lock ring loose, and it really doesn't matter too much in this case. You know, if it moves a little bit here and there, again, all it is the initial sizing and just to get the neck started. So then we're just going to go with the handle down, and what you'll see here, and I'll focus in here, there's a little donut that gets created right there, and right there it is. And what this does, we initially, when we started doing this, took that donut out of there. That donut height doesn't matter as long as there's a little bit there. What'll eventually happen is when we get the last size on it, that donut will end up right at the neck where the neck meets the shoulder. And after the first firing, it will move to that exact corner, and that strengthens that corner there for us, helps hold the bullet solid, especially in the AR platform for feed issues. And then, so we did the first one, and then this bag stays handy. And I'll show this in comparison to a brand new piece here in a minute also. So these 2 are obviously the same. We're so close to being different. Put them back in the bag. I give them one real quick shot. While that's setting up, it is kind of important for the one-shot lube to get 15 or 20 seconds to set up. Next what I'm gonna do is, the nice thing about the 550 is I can take the whole tool head out. You can do this with a regular single stage. It's probably a little more accurate that way. The reason I like the 550 is that when I go to change these bushings, I can do it with the tool head off. And the only time it really comes into benefit is when you go to dump the bushings out. So then I'm just going to take it and reverse them. This one here is the second one, and it happens to be a 268. And then I'll just put this other one right on top of it. And again, all it's doing is holding it in place. And then tighten the decapper assembly all the way down, like that. Leave that die up 1.5 turns. My red line is right there still. Yours won't have a red line until you put it on there. I do it just to mark them so I know where it's at. And you can see I've marked up the top of this press with where those lines go. But it's inconsequential. It's just to help me a little bit. So then this is our next step. And that donut would be a little more obvious here. And you can see it there. And you can see that the one on the right is definitely smaller in diameter. So let's go back to the press here. Do the second one. And now they both match. So there's a matching pair. And I'm only doing 2 for example here. It's not super critical either way, and go from there. Now I'm gonna trim these, and I trim them with an RCBS. So then, just like any other, how you trim them is up to you. This should be set to get me around 1/600. Ideal measurement is 1/590 to 1/605. 1/605 is the absolute longest you can run. You can tell the battery's getting low on this one. So let's just measure that real quick, see where we're at. And we are 1/611, as you can see. Now there's going to be some burr there, so not a big problem. It'll go away here shortly. It is there nonetheless. So that one's done. I'll change batteries here and see if this thing comes back. Okay, so now that both of those are done, I always, for whatever reason, deburr the outside first. So there's no burrs on the outside. Let's get that out of the way. And same thing, deburr the inside. Now you're gonna have to do this again, or you don't have to technically, but I don't take for granted that my last resize is gonna be perfect. So I always try to give myself at this point. So then again, a little hard to set up for the last step. So again, I'm taking out the decapper out. Now I'm going to remove both these bushings, and this is the only time that the bushings matter which way they go in. So here's the modified bushing, and it'll go in to where the chamfer is down. So when it's up, it'll look like that. You won't be able to see that chamfer at all. And then I always go back to the big bushing. So the big bushing again, and then the decapper assembly right in on top. I'm sorry, no decapper assembly, just the piece to hold the bushing in place. And put them back. Now I do leave it 1.5 turns up still. Again, it does get me where I need to be with it. So I just real quick double checked it. Back to 1.5. Shake up the brass. And that's what I'm going to do here real quick. Now to figure out what height you need to set this at again, all the way down. And I'm going to just temporarily set that. Not very tight, and then I'm going to raise it like I said, 1/2 turn. My die is 1/2 turn up technically. Goes down, comes out easy, and you can see it's starting to move the shoulder. Let's go to our. I'm going to go 1/4 turn from bottom to up, and then I'm going to go right to where I'm topped out. And what you see is the piece of brass. It looks like that. And it's got the change in the shoulder. The same height roughly. You can see how much shoulder it is. So the TLR has a case taper change, shoulder angle change, neck change, and that's pretty much it. So now, I'll put that brand new piece in there also so I can compare it. I can get rid of that bag. Now that I have my die set correctly, I can just put my brass in and it comes out looking like it should. So Next, what I do is I typically clean them with just a rag. I just wipe them off. And then I will double check the trim on them. So we'll move over and do that. My TLR, this is a loop-pulled VXR Patrol on a, I think it's a Delton lower and a Young side charger. And I like side chargers, but that's just me. So I'm going to take a piece of brass, and this is a piece of brass we just made. Let the bolt go home. Now what I should feel is one smooth stroke as it draws out. Now I will say there's a magazine in this gun, but it is empty just so that I don't have to keep hitting the bolt release. And let's see if we can get this here. So the gun's obviously upside down. I reach down, grab the side charger, and no effort, it just comes right out. Now, if it came out and it's hard to eject, which typically takes, or it doesn't go all the way into battery, it's a sign of two things. One, the shoulder's not far enough back, or the overall length is too long. It is very, I won't say critical, but it is something that you need to pay attention to. Is that overall? There's certain margins we built into the reamer, but for the most part, that's what it takes. So there we have two brand new pieces, just done as a real quick demo deal. And once they're fired, and you can actually see the shoulder here is a little rounded, and that corner will round just a little bit every time you reload it. When you fire it, it'll go almost square, or at least I have a clear defined shoulder right there. We round it a little bit to let stuff, if it wants to accrue gases or carbon or anything else, dirt that might be in the chamber, it gives it a spot to go. So we have a little bit in the lead, we also have a little bit right here at the shoulder, and then we have minimal case taper change also. So it is designed, and it was solely designed to work around the AR-15 platform. So any questions that you guys have, post them or email me and I'll get it taken care of. Thanks guys.